Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast. This is episode number 227 for March 24th, 2025. And my name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And things are a little crazy here today. I'm, having to figure out how to host Game Junk again because Frank is unfortunately away. He hurt his back. I'm sure we'll get more details on Film Junk perhaps as to what exactly happened, but hope he's, resting up and feeling a bit better. But for today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that went down at GDC. We'll start with the GDC Awards, just kind of compare and contrast to the Game Awards, which is kind of interesting to see. And then we're going to do, so there was a couple of showcases. I was disappointed. There was no Day of the Devs online showcase. I guess that was only in person or something.
Yeah, it seems like that. Yeah, I didn't see it either.
But which I always love the Day of the Devs one. But there was the Future Games showcase, and there was the Mix Spring showcase, I believe it's called. So we watched both, or most of both, and we put together. Huck and I both picked our top 5 games that we saw at these showcases. So we'll count those down, maybe talk about a little bit of other stuff, and then we'll get into what we played, including I did play some Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know Huck's been doing some gaming as well, so we'll see what else we get into. I mean, I always would say it's going to be a short show, especially if Frank's not here, but maybe not.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Gotta milk it now. Frank's not here. One quick thing before we start the showcases. I was actually shocked that I don't know if there was any overlap in the trailers, which I was kind of shocked by.
Yeah, I
think like there was unique stuff in each.
I think there might have been one game that was at both. I can't remember what it was. Okay. But yeah, it's
sometimes you get 4 or 5, half it's the same or whatever, and not the case. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Now there were definitely games we had seen before.
Yes.
So that's, we'll talk about how that might factor into our lists, but we'll get there.
Yes.
But why don't we start with the GDC Awards? And I mean, the big story, Balatro pretty much cleaned up.
Oh yeah.
We'll run through the categories here, but they, that game won almost everything, which maybe isn't a huge surprise. I mean, it certainly was, a critical favorite all last year. But just some of the categories, you're like, wow, it even won that. It's crazy. So I don't know, should I read the nominees and then say the winner, or how do you want to do this?
Let's just read the winner, and then if there are any sort of that's odd, we can bring up those games that it beat out or something like that. I don't know if we need to go through all of them.
Okay. Well, we'll just start with Game of the Year, which Balatro won. Now, Astrobot won Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Yes. And it was nominated here.
Yes. And Frank will be happy to see that Helldivers 2 was nominated for Game of the Year at GDC. But most of the other ones kind of feel, Metaphor Refantasio, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Black Myth Wukong were the other ones. They're kind of, always in the mix as well.
Yeah. Yeah. The list seems pretty close. I think at the Game Awards, Metaphor Refantasio was not on the list, if I recall, for Best of the Year, but I think all the other ones were. So pretty similar list, just different result at the end. Kind of surprising. But
now GDC does also do honorable mentions. I'm not going to read all those, but I did notice for Game of the Year, Satisfactory was an honorable mention.
Yeah.
And we brought that up as that was one that I don't think got nominated for anything at the Game Awards, as far as I can recall. So,
but hasn't that game been out for 8 years?
Well, yeah, it was in early access for a long time. I think the official release was this year. So,
okay.
I guess that's why it qualifies.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah. So then, Best Audio, Astrobot won this, which, I think pretty deserving, particularly for that includes music, because they don't seem to have a separate award for music as far as I can see.
Yeah.
But
I probably would have liked to see that go to Final Fantasy, but I'm definitely biased in my Final Fantasy love. But I think it's not a bad choice here for sure.
Hey, Hellblade 2 was nominated, but did not win. I believe it won. I think it won the Game Award, didn't it? Sounds familiar.
Hellblade 2?
But yeah.
I don't recall. It might have, yeah.
Best debut, Balatro wins this. Obviously up against stuff like Animal Well, Pacific Drive, 1000X Resist, and Tiny Glade. Don't know what Tiny Glade is. Well, we know now because we
looked
it up. But
yeah, cozy city builder with procedural generated content that you can lay down. So
yeah, there are a few games, especially like we'll probably touch on the IGF Awards at the end, which definitely had some stuff we hadn't heard of. Best design went to Balatro as well.
You know what I just noticed in the best debut category? Maybe a mistake by Polygon, but Tiny Glade is a honorable mention and a category, and in the category.
I don't think that should be possible.
I'm a little disappointed. Plucky Squire didn't get in that mix. I know I'm a big Plucky Squire fan, but yeah, I don't know. Especially, I don't know, Pacific Drive. You played that, right? Pacific Drive?
No, I didn't play that.
Oh, you did not.
But okay. I have heard good things. So, or maybe did I try the demo? I feel like maybe I played the demo. So let's do the next two together. So we got best design. Balatro wins this, and then Innovation Award, which Balatro also wins. And that's where we were kind of debating before the show. It's like, okay, what's the difference between innovation and great design? Like, great design is probably innovative, but I would think maybe innovation leans more towards technology. But then they also have a technology award, which we'll touch on in a minute. So I really don't know.
Yeah, and then you think of like the best design. Well, Balatro kind of just took poker, put one twist on it, kind of thing. And then you look at Astrobot, and like the breadth of that game is so huge, and they had to design all these unique mechanics for that game. You'd think, I would probably lean to Astrobot myself in terms of design. Now, maybe innovation goes to Balatro because of the neat twists they put on poker, but I don't know. I don't like Balatro as much as you guys do, or as much as Frank does, but it seems like a stretch for it to win both of these awards to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like maybe the thing against Astrobot, particularly for innovation, would just be the criticism a lot of people have had, which is it's just a platformer, right? Like, we've seen these games before. Maybe it's a really good platformer, but it's just a platformer. So I guess I could see that. But, UFO 50 was nominated for Innovation Award. I would have liked to see that win.
Yeah, and Helldivers 2, just an honorable mention, surprisingly. You would have thought that would have got a little higher nod there, but I don't know. Same with design. I don't know. There's Echoes of Wisdom in here for best design honorable mentions. There you go. Get some beds going.
Oh, yeah. Should have been innovation, too.
Yeah, that's right. Huge innovation. Who's put a bed in there? Bed stacking.
Okay, so best narrative went to not Balatro, went to Metaphor ReFantazio.
What?
Somehow Balatro just didn't have the narrative.
No narrative hooks there.
But I guess that sounds about right. I mean, 1000X Resist, that obviously has been popping up in some awards like this. Actually, was it nominated for the Game Award for this? I feel like it didn't get in.
I don't remember.
But I played a little bit of it, and I was like, that was one of those games I was like kind of trying to cram before we did our top 10s of the year, and it just like it was such a slow start that I was like, I really can't tell where this is going, but I'm intrigued. I do want to play more.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that Final Fantasy Rebirth is not in here as like a candidate. It's just an honorable mention. And same with Hellblade 2. You'd think that those two games would be kind of up there. Especially, I don't know. I've heard rumors about this mouthwashing game that it's really good. So this mouthwashing game is a candidate nominee. That's the word I'm looking for. And I have not played it. I've saw my wish list, but have you played it before?
No, I've been eyeing it as well, and I've heard good things.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be kind of a surreal, kind of unique, short horror game. So
yeah.
I am interested in that.
And then Black Myth Wukong makes another appearance. It seems to be in almost every category, but just can't crack the top of anything.
Yeah.
It's a game we should probably look at because it seems to be popping up everywhere.
Yeah, one of us should play it. Well, I guess Frank played a little bit of it, but
yeah, true.
Okay, best technology. Astrobot wins this. I mean, I think that makes sense. I guess maybe Helldivers 2 was nominated. I guess that could have been an interesting pick in terms of, you know, some of the stuff they did for online multiplayer that hadn't really been done before.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what engine Astrobot uses. I can't remember. I don't think it's Unreal though. I think it's something in-house as Sony, but
yeah, I think so.
This is always, I always think of this as like, you know, you probably have to roll your own engine if you really deserve this award. So like, you know, Call of Duty would probably be one that should probably be up in there.
It is an honorable mention.
It is an honorable mention, yeah, but it always is going to look awesome. But then, you know, who knows how much adjustments the teams make to the engine at the same time and adding. But I mean, I'm pretty sure Hellblade 2 is an Unreal Engine 5 game. So, or maybe Unreal Engine 4. But, you know, should it win the technology award since they didn't actually make the technology? I mean, maybe it's the face tracking stuff they did, all that work that they're looking at more for that game. But yeah, this is becoming hard now that it's really like, you know, you're using kind of a store-bought engine and then making tweaks to it. You're not really, you know, creating something from scratch anymore and really pushing it out because your engineers are super talented. But
yeah,
that's the engineer in me getting all uppity.
Okay, so next up, best visual art. This is the one Black Myth Wukong did win.
Cracked it finally.
Yeah. So, and I mean, it is a very nice looking game. So I get it. I you know, stuff like Neva was in there, which, you know, just has a really cool art style, and I think would be deserving as well. But and Metaphor Refantasio, which I also did like the art style for that quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that one didn't win it because it is very Persona like, but it definitely has a very striking visual style. And even Animal Well, I thought might have a chance at this because of its style. But yeah, can't really argue that the fur shaders they're using in this game, pretty impressive.
Yep. And then social impact, the award that's always very, you know, tough to define, I guess. But Life is Strange Double Exposure won this one. Not too much to say about that, but I think Neva was nominated for this as well, and I remember Frank being confused about that. I don't really know.
And then Frostpunk 2 also kind of.
Well, even
how does that fit in?
Even Astrobot in there.
Yeah,
I mean, is that just a, you know, hey, they're celebrating games and bringing people together kind of thing?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. But,
yeah, it is weird.
Okay, so that's it for the GDC Awards. We've got these IGF Awards. I don't know if we want to go through all the categories, maybe just read off some of the winners here, or
I guess so. I mean, for me, like we were talking before, how a bunch of the games that won are not even out yet. So this whole award show is a little bizarre to me. Are they kind of just making like are they seeing 2025 as like this calendar year we're in right now? and it started in January. So it's kind of like games that are coming up, but then, other games were out last year. So that doesn't really apply, that thinking. So it is strange that, and a lot of the games that won are not out yet, actually.
Yeah.
So it's a little strange to wrap your head around for me, how these games are winning these awards. So, I mean, we could go over, I guess, the winners, but no one will have played these games.
Well, I guess we could mention a couple of the ones that seem to win a lot of stuff, just as, hey,
Sure.
maybe keep an eye out for them. But just in terms of how do people qualify for these awards? So IGF is the Independent Games Festival, which I believe is held at GDC.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
So
it's before the main conference, technically. Like the Independence Games, there's like an Independent Games stream or whatever before the main conference, usually. And I think there's an awards festival tied to that.
Right. So I guess it would have to be like you put your game in this festival or get accepted to this festival to start with. And then I guess the question is, does the game have to be finished? Like, are people playing through the full game? I'm sure some of these games may not even have like a definitive end to them. So that could be tricky.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure. So, well, I guess the one that we were kind of talking about before the show that won 3 awards is called Consume Me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even out yet, but and it doesn't have a release date as far as we can tell on Steam, but looks like some kind of narrative game about being in high school, something to do with eating, potentially commenting on like eating disorders and stuff like that. That was the vibe I was getting, but I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued, I would say.
Yeah.
And then what were the other ones? Oh, Haunty won for visual art, which was kind of cool to see. I think we played that a little bit, and it did have a cool art style. It was like I think we were a little perplexed, I guess, by like some of the design of the game and what exactly you're trying to do, but visually it was very cool.
Yeah. And then Tactical Breach Wizards won Excellence in Design, which is, I've heard really good things about that game. It's on my wish list. I just haven't got around to it yet. You played a bit of it, did you not?
Yeah, I played like maybe 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I really can't say. It's a strategy game, like a tactics kind of battle game that has like time manipulation as a bit of an element to it. And then it just has like good writing, like kind of funny dialogue and stuff throughout the battles. So I think that's kind of the draw to it.
Yeah, I think that's done by the same guy that did Gunpoint.
I think so, yeah.
And he did another game called like Hot Zone or something like that.
Yeah.
What was this other game?
It was good though. I would like to go back to
Heat Signature. That's the name of the word. Hot Zone. Heat Signature. Pretty close.
Yeah, I can see it. So I guess that's about it for the awards. But yeah, just again, Balatro really dominated and kind of continues to be, a game that everyone is playing and talking about. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into these showcases. Now, as I said, there's some games we'd seen before. I think these showcases are generally more like AA, I would say, is kind of the space they're playing in. There's some like indie stuff, some lower budget kind of retro style indie stuff, but a lot of it was AA. Any general thoughts before we give our top five?
I tried to keep stuff like I'd seen before off of my list. And so like South of Midnight, I didn't put on my list. Claire Obscura Expedition 33, I didn't put on my list, for example. And one other one, which I'm going to talk about later, but I'm still really excited for that game. Not a big title, but I left it off my list because I already have like wish listed it and know about it. So mostly it was new stuff or stuff I probably have forgotten about that I'd seen that looked good. I'm sure some of the stuff has already come out and been announced. I know one for sure definitely has, but yeah, that's sort of the take I took on it.
Yeah, same for me. I think my top five is all stuff that I mean, there might be a couple games I knew about, but I don't think they had been in any showcases or anything before. But yeah, we'll touch on some of the other ones that maybe are bigger titles that we already knew about or whatever. But just, I mean, these were pretty long. Like the Future Games Show was like, well, I think
2
the
hours or
video is
something?
2 hours or over 2 hours, but it doesn't actually run the whole time.
Yeah.
I think it's more like an hour and a half, but
Yeah, both of the streams I saw had like a half an hour lead-in timer. I don't know why when they upload that to YouTube, they don't cut that out. Because like on Twitch or whatever, okay, that makes sense. But like you're so lazy that you just take that whole video and just throw it up on YouTube. You should just cut out that intro. It makes no sense, but I don't know. Maybe it helps them get extra YouTube ad money or something like that. I don't know.
well, I gotta say, I was getting like absolutely hammered with ads too, like on the mix one in particular, which I think
Yes.
I was watching the IGN. I don't know if there's another place to watch it, but like it was like after every trailer, I'm watching an ad. Like,
Oh
what the
gosh.
heck? So that was pretty rough. But okay, well, let's get to our top fives.
Sure. I can start off here.
Okay.
So we're doing the future showcase first, right?
Oh, so you're doing separate top fives?
I am doing separate top fives.
Okay, I can do that. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I will slowly talk about my first top five of the future showcase. Is a game called Chains of Freedom, which is kind of like an XCOM style game. It looks like, and it's kind of set in a post-apocalyptic world. And I don't know, I'm just kind of in the mood for an XCOM game, and it looked kind of interesting. So, I mean, the trailer is only a minute long or so, so it's not, not a ton of information in there. But I thought it had potential, and I was kind of liking what I was seeing. So, Chains of Freedom from Nord Current Labs, apparently.
Okay, I don't really remember that one, but this is going to be hard because, watching that many trailers in a row and like some of these, I got to admit, I feel like this is a big problem with, we always say it's hard for these games to get noticed. Like titles, like names of games, like there's just
Yeah.
a lot of them are not good and you just can't, remember anything. So,
Yeah.
okay, my number.
Yeah, I pulled
five.
it. I cheated. I pulled up all of them on YouTube beforehand, so I can like get a refresher before I talk about them. So
Oh, okay.
I'm very prepared.
Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, so my number five is, I hope this is the game I'm remembering, but it's Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, which
Okay.
seemed kind of like, just another zombie game, but it was like a side scroller kind of game that had some narrative elements to it as well. I couldn't really tell if it was like a roguelike. It kind of seemed like maybe that has elements of that. But I like the art style and just something about that side-scrolling format seemed kind of unique to me. So I was kind of digging that. I think there might be a demo for this too.
Yeah, I have no recollection of that game you're talking about at all. So
Okay, there you go.
it's going to be an interesting top fives. My number four, I think we've seen this game before, but I can't remember for sure. Mandragora. Yep. And it's like a roguelike, Souls-like, roguelike, 2D side scroller. And it looks like the combat is a little slow paced, but I really was kind of digging the art style and the animations in this game. And I must say, like, this type of game is not really my thing usually. But I am interested in this one. I thought all the art style just drew me in. So I think I'll give it a try, but it's usually not my thing. I'm hoping I'll probably wait for a sale, but this one caught my eye.
Well, I know Frank has been kind of keeping an eye on this one, and I think
Yeah.
I think it's like a Metroidvania as well, which I'm interested. But as soon as the Souls-like stuff starts coming into play, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know. I'll wait and see, but
Yeah.
might not be for me.
That was definitely a notch down because of that, but I agree.
Okay, so my number 4, I'm going to say Industria 2. So this one, I think, is kind of like Half-Life influenced. It's like a first-person shooter. Had some pretty cool sci-fi visuals. Maybe looked a tad generic, but I don't know. Something about it was like kind of pulling me in. So I am interested. I looked up Industria 1 on Steam, which is currently $3 or something, and I was just kind of looking at reviews, and a lot of people seem to say that it was like a pretty short game with really cool visuals, but not a ton of like the combat wasn't like super polished or anything. So I don't know. I guess I'm hoping that this would be adding that polish, but it looked cool.
Yeah. My number 3 is Reanimal, which I'm pretty sure we've heard of for a while. Looks really stunning, actually, and a little scary, a little creepy, a little bit inside vibes, but a little more horror or thriller, or I don't know, kind of just like weird than even inside is. And I believe it's like co-op, like it's almost like split fiction-y type or Two Brothers type gameplay. So I'm kind of intrigued by this game, and the art style is really great, and especially some of the creature design is like really impressive. So I'm pretty interested in this one. This one looks really cool.
Yeah, this isn't on my list, but I am looking forward to this one. I believe it's the same people that made Little Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. Yeah. Little Nightmares 3 is also supposed to be co-op, and I think both games are coming out this year, so it will be interesting to compare them.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3 is the remake of the end of the greatest RPG of all time.
I remember seeing this one, but I don't really recall too much about it.
Yeah, so this is the thing. The trailer does not really. It's more of like one of those kind of goofy trailers that's just kind of selling you on the concept or just getting your attention. Basically, it doesn't show a lot of the game.
Right.
I kind of had like fake interviews with like the whole thing is like there's this amazing RPG that's been lost to history, and they're kind of remaking it, and they have like interviews with fake developers who made the original and stuff like that. But I mean, the title just that's a good title. I will say that's one I remember.
I've already forgotten it.
Well, maybe not the exact title, but it's attention grabbing. But the more I read into it and kind of looked up, like, what is this? It's not even really an RPG. It's apparently more of like a puzzle mystery game where it's like there's elements, you're kind of putting together the pieces of this lost game. Like there's bits of like an instruction manual and all this stuff that are clues. And I don't know, it sounds kind of unique. So
that's cool.
I'm into that. Yeah.
Yeah. My number 2 is Industria 2. So you're number 4, I believe. And yeah, I really was kind of into the sci-fi element of this game. And I agree that the combat and everything looked pretty basic, pretty generic. Didn't really, blow me away or anything. But I thought, I'm interested in a Half-Life style, it's got weird robots in the distance and stuff like that. And there's like all these like almost like cables going off into the far distance. So you're like, what's that about? So, a lot of intrigue going on there. And yeah, it caught my eye. I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, for sure. My number 2 is it's called Bionic Bay. Now, I don't know. I feel like the trailer for this one was really short. Because I remember, like, I looked initially at a list of like all the games that were announced or talked about, and that was in there. But like, I barely remember seeing it in the show. But there's a demo out for it that I had played a little bit, and it's very limbo-esque. Like it's kind of puzzle platformer that's got, it's a lot of it's kind of like silhouettes. Like it's not black and white, but you've got stuff going on in the background, and then the character is just kind of a silhouette. So it looks cool, plays pretty well. The one thing that I'm confused about is apparently there's like a speed run element to it as well, which I don't have any interest in at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know how big of a component that is, but yeah, it comes out fairly soon, so I'll probably check it out.
So it looks like the trailer is so short because it's just introducing the online mode. That's sort of like what the thing of it was. So that's why it's so short. And I think maybe that's where like the speedrun part of it has its legs in this online mode.
Okay, that makes sense.
My number one, possibly off the board, but I'm going with it anyways. Romestead. Do you remember seeing this one?
I remember the title.
So it kind of is. It to me, it reminded me of Stardew Valley, but set in Rome, and essentially, like I think the hook was like Rome has fallen, and you have to like rebuild your city, and like recruit people to your city to help out and stuff. So I don't know. I thought it looked like a fun little thing. I liked the premise. It looked like you had to kind of like defend your city as well. So I thought it looked really interesting, and I'm pretty excited for this one. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember. So like I thought initially that this was going to be more of like a like, do you remember those games like they're kind of like Sim City-esque games? I think Caesar,
like Populous or something.
Well, there's a series that was specific to like there was like Roman, there was Egypt, and then maybe Greek. I can't remember. Like, but I believe the Roman one was called Caesar, and so I thought it was going to be more like that, like a very realistic sim. But this has sort of like a pixel art style, which is kind of an interesting combination. So,
but I think you play as like a little individual guy, kind of like Stardew Valley.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It says it's more of like an action adventure survival game. So it's not even so much a sim game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds cool. Okay, what was my number one? My number one. Oh, right. So Elsewhere Electric. So this looked really cool. It's kind of like a puzzle game, but it's like 2-player co-op puzzle game. But the thing is, one person's in VR, and I think one person's on mobile or potentially just like a web browser. So I'm not exactly sure how you work together, but I just like that idea of like one person kind of being in the environment, moving around, doing stuff, and then the other person kind of like being outside and giving them, information. Which,
Wasn't there another game like this, like a spy thriller game?
Yeah, I was trying to remember what that one was called, but that was definitely what it reminded me of.
Okay.
Like Operation Tango or something.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds familiar.
But yeah, it kind of just had a mysterious vibe to it. So I was digging that.
Cool. The VR, number one. Cracking through. Should we move on to, I guess some honorable mentions or something? Do you have any? I was just going to say they showed Clair Obscur, Expedition 33 in here, South of Midnight. And there's another game called Lost Rift that I thought looked kind of interesting, but just not enough to crack my top 5.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was just mainly going to mention a couple of the bigger ones that some of them we knew about. So FBC Firebreak. This is the multiplayer game in the Control universe. They showed more of that, which I am looking forward to. I think the trailer, I was a little disappointed in the sense that it just seemed very actiony. Like I thought there would be maybe a bit more puzzle stuff or like at least some kind of suspense. Like there was like a one moment at the end where I was like, okay, it's not like 100% action, but it was a lot of action for sure. Mm-hmm. And System Shock 2 remaster.
Oh yeah,
I think this had been announced, but this is like one of those games, on my list of shame that I just feel like I really need to play. And now there's a remaster, so maybe that'll be my excuse to at least play 2 hours of it.
Yeah. Did they just do System Shock 1?
Yeah, it was like
remaster
either last year or the year before. But yeah, it's the same.
I remember playing that, and it was painful.
I mean, it was, but I think what was good about that, and I mean, I'm curious, it seemed like this is also the same in the sense that they didn't really, it's not completely it's not a remake, it is a remaster, but true. I think it's making it playable and, just a lot of little kind of upgrades, modern conveniences, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
While keeping the feel of the original. So it seems like that's what this one is as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
onto the mix. The mix showdown, IGN, whatever it's called, kind of funny, mix mash.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think the mix is like, it's like a showcase that's been around before, but yeah, like now they're teaming up with Kind of Funny or something.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty well done. Like, I thought they had the little like interstitial little chats with, Greg Miller and all his other guys that are around him now. And I didn't think they like overstayed their welcome or like really laid it on too strongly. So I thought they did a pretty good job overall of not lengthening the show just, to lengthen their paycheck kind of thing. So yeah, overall pretty good. Though I definitely, if I saw a game that I wasn't interested in, I just skipped right on through. Pretty quick.
I was definitely starting to skip stuff. So
I guess I'll get started again. My number 5 is The Seance of Blake Manor, which is a toon-shaded detective adventure game, I guess I would describe it as, with definitely looked like there's some puzzle elements, some sort of like investigation part thing. I'm a sucker for detective games. Now, I don't know, what they showed here didn't really convince me that it was going to be a fun game necessarily, but I do like the setup and I do like the art style, but I'm worried that it's going to run into like here's the whole manor, go find all the clues. I think you mentioned like in Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, you're kind of like running around all over the place and like the play space was so big that it was hard to keep track of all the clues and stuff. And I'm worried like that's going to happen in this game. But as for the trailer, it had me intrigued enough to put it at number 5.
Well, it's my number 5 as well. So
perfect.
I'm with you. I mean, yeah, art style looked cool. It kind of is set in 1897 Ireland. It's got a little bit of that gothic feel, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something about it seemed like it's not. I feel like there's a lot of games. Like there's a whole wave of kind of Golden Idol likes and Obra Dinn likes starting to happen right now. I don't know if this falls into that category necessarily, but yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. Next one on my list, number 4, is, I think this one might be high on your list. I'm not totally sure, but iRobot. And it's like a very odd looking, like, I think they called it like a arcade shooter, like a twist on an old arcade shooter is what kind of sort of like the tagline is for this game. And it almost looks like, I kind of judged by some of the videos, almost like Pac-Man meets arcade shooter, because you almost have to like collect these things that are on the floor, like tiles on the floor. It seems like you need to get over all of them in order to pass the level while avoiding obstacles and things shooting at you. And there's like this bizarre, almost like just like textured tunnel wrapped you're going through kind of thing. It's, the graphics are not that pretty and it's not really that eye-catching, but I'm kind of intrigued by what the gameplay for this game is going to be like, which is why I put it on my list at number 4. But I must say I wasn't like super hooked by the art style or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's not on my list, but I guess it would be an honorable mention along with Missile Command Delta. But
Yeah.
both of these are, well, so iRobot was an Atari arcade game from like, I assume early 80s. I don't know. 84 looks like. But
Okay.
it's Jeff Minter that's doing this remake, which is the Llamasoft guy who's kind of does all like the crazy psychedelic games. So
Okay.
I mean, not that I don't think I've played any of his games, but I've been interested in checking out that collection that came out last year. And yeah, I mean, I think it looks very unique to say the least.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so my number 4 is Vessels of Decay,
Oh yeah.
which I don't really know that much about, or I don't know if I have that much to say about it, but it's, I guess I'm a sucker for a certain kind of pixel art, and this one is kind of a post-apocalyptic pixel art game. I just don't, I'm not 100% sure what the gameplay is like. One thing, both of these showcases, there was a lot of survival games. Like that's still a huge
Yeah.
thing. And anytime I hear that, I'm kind of like, I'm starting to lose interest. I don't know if that was what this one was described as. I'm not seeing that on the Steam page. So hopefully not.
Yeah. Just trying to read a little description here. It doesn't really say one way or the other. Um, my number 3 is Beyond the Board. I don't know if you remember seeing this one. You're like a chess piece,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like moving into space, and it's not totally clear exactly what you're trying to do. It looks like you're trying to like kill the other person's king or you're a rook or something. I don't know. But you're trying to move through like a messed up chessboard essentially to try to solve some puzzles. So I've been on a bit of a puzzle game kick lately, looking for a good puzzle game, and I don't really know what the gameplay of this is, but I'm intrigued to find out what it's all about.
Yes, this is my number 3 as well.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
but yeah, it says it transforms chess into a minimal immersive journey, but it's a single player
Perfect.
puzzle game. So I mean, yeah, it seems like an interesting twist on chess. I don't know if like I know there was that really bad chess. Is that what that game was called? That mobile game it was kind of an interesting. It was almost like a Balatro version of chess in a way where it would just start you in the middle of a game and be like, win this scenario.
Gotcha.
But this seems a little bit more like way out there. Like it's chess pieces going across almost like a Marble Madness type board or something. Like,
Yeah, there's like vertical elements and stuff like that. So
yeah.
my number 2 is Forgotten Fragments, which is like a 2D platformer puzzle game sort of thing. I couldn't tell if there was action elements. I can't remember from the trailer at the moment, but it definitely had a sort of Celeste style art style, maybe not as whimsical as Celeste, but pixel art, 2D. I don't know. I thought it looked pretty good. I thought the puzzles looked kind of interesting, and it definitely had some sort of like you had to almost like solve portal puzzles or something like that. There was some sort of element where you're like shooting almost like a firelight into some puzzle thing. I don't know. I'm describing this horribly, but I don't know. It looked interesting. There were some interesting elements I was seeing in the gameplay that had me intrigued for sure. So looking forward to see what this one is. Don't really know too much about it though, but it looked like really self-contained kind of little puzzles.
Yeah, this one did make my list, but it did kind of catch my eye. I'm pretty sure I wish listed it. I think it's got single player and co-op campaigns, which is kind of cool. And there is a demo out, so you can try it out. My number 2 is Hirogami, which is like a 3D platformer based on origami. I mean, it was kind of a short-ish trailer. I don't know that there was really any other super unique mechanics shown, but I thought the art style looked really, really cool. And obviously just kind of a whole world of origami kind of lends itself to, like, you could do a lot with that. Obviously there's been stuff like Tearaway and Paper Mario.
A fold
like
apart.
A fold apart, yeah. So there's been games that have played in this zone, but I think there's room for another.
Yeah, not on my list, but I did catch my eye as like a neat art style for sure. My number one, already on Dwight's list, Vessels of Decay.
Nice.
This one really caught my eye, kind of like what you're saying, like just there's like something with the art style, and it gave me a lot of Children of Morta vibes when I was watching it. And I don't know, I really like that game, and I think this had a similar feel to it. It looked like there was like upgraded skill trees and some sort of like adventuring going off, and some interesting, I think they showed a couple boss fights or something that looked kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't like you said, I don't really know exactly what this game is, but it definitely has piqued my interest, and very, very enjoying the art style and the sort of like post-apocalyptic sort of environment that the game takes place in. It says post-apocalyptic Scandinavia.
Yeah.
So that's interesting setting.
From what I saw, it just says action adventure. So liking that there's no roguelike, no survival, none of those keywords are in there. I mean, it could still end up being one of those, but
yeah,
it's a rare thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so my number one, this is kind of a weird one because, again, I don't know that it showed all that much of the game, but I was intrigued by Look Mum No Computer, which even now that I'm Googling it, apparently this is a guy who's like a British YouTuber that does music and electronic stuff. So I guess maybe
I remember this
based on him or something. But I think it's a twin stick shooter, but it just looks very strange and, had a cool retro art style. And then there's some element of like collecting like synthesizers or like musical components that you use. I don't really know, but
I found it, the part of the trailer when it was like, you can remix the music like this. And then it looks like he flipped some switches, but I couldn't tell what they were doing. It looked like it did nothing to me, or I couldn't hear the difference anyways. So I don't know. I found that pretty funny. I don't know if that was part of the joke or he was actually like adjusting something and it was just not perceivable by my ears at the time.
Possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird one, but hey, I like the weird ones sometimes. So
yeah,
that's my number one.
Cool. The honorable mention I wanted to say is Under the Island, which we've seen before. I really like the look of this game. And I didn't want to put it on the list because I definitely have wishlisted before and talked about it before on the show. But I really like that game. I think that's going to be a fun game for sure.
Yeah, that one looked cool. And then just to go back to the Missile Command Delta, didn't fully explain what that one is, but this is like a new version, or kind of like it's a new game based on Missile Command. And so I guess it seems like they've turned it into more of like a strategy tactics game. But the weird thing is there's sort of like a meta game outside of like the individual levels you're playing, where you're kind of in this room and it's almost like there's like an escape room element to it, where you're like in first person looking around and picking up clues and stuff. So I was
almost like Inscription or something.
Yeah, a little bit. So I mean, I don't know. Atari's been doing some weird things and kind of giving developers a chance to modernize or just do weird twists on their properties. So it's kind of interesting to see.
It is, yeah. Okay, where are we going next? What we played, or was there something else?
I think that's it. Yeah, as far as the showcases, if there's anything else that caught your eye, let us know. There was definitely a lot of games shown.
Yeah.
But let's get into what we've been playing.
Cool. I played Gato Roboto, which I believe you played a while ago. But I really like this game. It was like it's like a black and white Metroidvania, but it's very short. It's like 3 hours or something like that. And it was awesome. It was like a great length for a Metroidvania. I think it had sort of like a hub world and then what, 3 or 4 spokes off of that hub world. And that's it. Like that's the game. And each of those spokes has sort of like a unique mechanic. And you play as a cat that can get into like a mech suit essentially, and you can get upgrades for the mech suit, and you could also go into like a submarine. And so there's gameplay as just the cat, and there's gameplay in the submarine and in the mech suit. And there are limitations to the mech suit. Mech suit can't go in water, and you have to kind of like solve little like small puzzles of how to get the mech to different areas of the game. And there's the big bad guy is like a mouse you have to fight over and over again, or a rat. The recurring enemy you fight, the boss. And it was just like a nice little fun, 2-3 session game that was really enjoyable and not too difficult, and really like never overstayed its welcome. I really enjoyed Gato Roboto, and I think I bought it, probably 3-4 Steam sales ago after you had talked about it, and always wanted to get to it. And finally I scratched it off my list, and I'm really glad I did. It's a really fun little game.
Yeah, it's a good one. And yeah, I mean, I just wish there were more games that were kind of that nice little bite-sized length. Just everybody's trying to pad these things out these days, which
yes,
I guess that's what some people are looking for, but not I.
Yes, same.
Yeah, and also I think the developer of Gato Roboto did Gunbrella as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I see that like Neva is listed here, but I don't think that's right. I think that's a Google
no, I think
AI
Neva
error.
was the same people that did Gree, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unless they were like an assist or something, but that's
maybe
wrong. So I'll talk a bit about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now I know Frank has played a lot more than me, so we'll probably dive into it more next week. But I've played about 3 hours, and so okay, how many Assassin's Creed games have you played? Like, and which ones?
I've played most of them. So I've just played a little bit of Valhalla. I've played probably 5 hours of Origins, which is the Egypt one. I've played probably the most of the more recent ones, the most of Odyssey. I've probably put 15 or 20 hours into Odyssey, and did not play, obviously I haven't played Shadows yet. Now, Valhalla was the previous one, right? To Shadows? There wasn't one in between?
Well, there was Mirage, I think it was, which was more of like that throwback.
Right.
To sort of like the original.
Yeah, did not play Mirage. And then I don't think I played Black Flag. And I did not play the I think Assassin's Creed 3, the one that's in North America. I remember I bought Black Flag thinking I would upgrade it for like $5 when I got my PS5, and finding out that was only good for like a month. So then I never ended up playing Black Flag because I had it on my PS4. But then when I got my PS5, I couldn't upgrade. I had to pay the whole like $70 or whatever to upgrade. I was like, well, that's not happening. And then, I played like a bunch of Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 and Brotherhood, I think. But those are quite old now, quite different games compared to the newer open world, much more open world ones. I think that's my history.
Like, you've played a lot more than me. I think I've only really played, like, I played a bit of Black Flag, bit of Origins, and like, I think that's it. Like, maybe one other in there.
Okay.
Like, I think there was one that came with the Xbox One or something. I don't remember now, but and then the VR one, which I actually liked as well.
And there's also the England one. There's one set in England, which I can't remember what one that's called. It's like Napoleon kind of French. Is it French or is it England? I can't remember. I think somewhere in Europe around the 1800s, I believe. I can't remember the name of that one. I played a little bit of that one, but I ran into some bugs when I was playing that one. I remember.
Right. Yeah. So,
Syndicate. It's called Syndicate.
Okay. So, some of the stuff I'm going to say, is probably going to be like, I just don't know Assassin's Creed. So you can, call me out on some of this stuff, but I am enjoying it quite a bit. And I think it starts off very slow. And I think this is like a common thing that I'm finding maybe with just Ubisoft games, because the same thing happened with Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws, but it just like, a lot of cutscenes, and like you're very like the first couple hours you're kind of like very limited in what you can do, and it's just tutorial stuff basically, right?
Yeah.
And apparently, so one of the big selling points of this game is that there's two characters. It takes place in Japan, during the I don't know the specific time period, but basically you've got a samurai and you've got a ninja that you can switch between. But the first 10 hours is all with the ninja. Like you don't even get the samurai guy until like about 10 hours in. So I haven't even.
That's a pretty big time commitment.
Yeah. So like, I mean, there's some cutscenes, you get like a little bit of his story, but I haven't been able to play as him yet. And it seems like it'll be a while still, but which, I don't know if that's good or bad. Like maybe it's good to have something that you're looking forward to switch it up partway through the game. But I also feel like if that's a key thing, a key element of the game, you kind of want to get people trying that out early. So,
and if it takes you 10 hours to climatize to one character, that's like a long time. If that's the reason to not switch earlier.
So I think it looks great, and I've started to get. I guess I'm not in the full open world yet, but I am. At a point where I can kind of wander around, and it's just, like I'm getting that sense of like, oh, I'm going to enjoy exploring this world. And that's a good thing. It is weird. Some of the like wilderness kind of areas, it's like you can go into like some pretty thick trees and bushes and stuff. And it's like, you can't see anything.
Oh, really?
I was kind of surprised at how, and you can kind of hack and slash your way through it, which is kind of cool. But I was just surprised at how much growth there was for all that stuff. But so the main thing I wanted to bring up is that I find like I'm fighting with the controls a lot. And I know like part of it, like I talked with Frank a little bit about this. Obviously, part of it is they've got the attacks on the shoulder buttons, which is kind of the Souls-like thing. But it's not just that, because for instance, the sneak or lie down button is on X, and I always want to hit B or like right thumbstick, like in the heat of the moment when I want to do that. Those are the buttons I'm hitting. I'm like, damn it. So I still haven't quite.
So you exposed yourself. You're playing on Xbox.
I am playing. How
does Frank feel about that?
So I did the Ubisoft Plus thing.
Oh,
so
okay.
I could try it out. And we'll see how long I stick with it, but yeah. So that, and, people always say, "Oh, yeah, you can remap the buttons." I'm sure you can, but then you question: is there a reason why this layout exists? Like, there must be designers must have taken some of this into consideration.
Yeah.
But
I do find that like when I try to return to Odyssey, for instance, it does take me a good chunk of time to like refigure out the controls, just like you're saying. Like it's not intuitive, I find. And there's like I usually, when I come back to it, I usually stick to like the very basic stuff. Like I'm just shoulder button attacking, maybe the heavy attack, and trying to dodge or something, like very basic stuff, because it is like you said, not completely obvious, I find.
Yeah. And like the other thing that's kind of weird is like there's a lot of the feeling of like you're being what's the word for it? Like you're almost on rails to a certain degree with a lot of like parkour and climbing and stuff, where it's like you're trying to move, but you're like stuck to this point. Like you climb up to something and then you're like, okay, I just want to turn and look over here. And it's like, nope, you can't move because you're stuck on this thing now.
Yeah.
Like, why?
I remember I had that problem with like the Infamous games. And I think even to a little bit, the original Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man. the very first one, but more for the Infamous games. Like I hated Infamous 1 because of that. Like you would jump off of like a rail and then just get like magnetized back to it. I'm like, no, I just want to like go down right here, and I can't. And I have noticed that like with the Assassin's Creed ones, though, I think the secret is, now maybe it's different for this game, but in past ones you kind of like have to hold the parkour button, which is usually, I guess it would be kind of B on B. Where's an Xbox controller? A. Hold A.
Yes.
Um, and then you just kind of like push in the direction you want to go, and it usually kind of like intelligently does it for you. But you're finding even doing that, you're getting stuck.
No, I mean, it is what you're saying, like that. And again, that is the Assassin's Creed thing. Like, I think they've done that almost from the start, and it's been a lot about, you know, fluid animation, and it kind of just, like you said, does it for you. But I just don't like that. No, like it's, maybe I'll get used to it, but I just, something about it bugs me. So there's a bit of that, trying to adjust to that stuff. And then, you know, now that I've kind of, it's starting to open up a bit, I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. Like there's a whole thing where it opens up the map and it's like, you know, go find this person. And then it's like, gives me like scouts or something. And it's like, send a scout and like find out information from this area. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on there. Like, what do these scouts do? Like, I got this whole management thing. And then there's like a hideout that you have that you build up over time. And I'm sure these are all things they've introduced over the years. And I don't know. It's a bit much, but yeah, that's what it is.
I remember that in, I don't know if it was Odyssey or Origins, but you know, you kind of like just start out, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's a side quest, here's a side quest, here's a side quest. They're like, just like start throwing shit at you right away. I'm like, can I just focus and like get my bearings in this world first? Yeah. Before you start throwing me all the Ubisoft shit all over the place. So I think they just have trouble paring it back and kind of like slowing that entry into the open world aspects of the game.
Yeah, and I guess that's what they've all like. That's kind of the criticism of these games now, and I don't know that this gets away from that. Like, it is just a lot of different points on your map. You do like obviously have that element of like climbing up to a lookout point and then being able to like highlight things you can see, which I do like that. That's something that I believe Breath of the Wild kind of stole from them, right?
I would think so. Yeah. I think they kind of did that first sort of like Eagle Point or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Lookout tower.
But I do like that stuff. I think the thing I prefer in open world games is like, I don't mind side quests, but it's a lot more fun when you kind of just stumble across it yourself. Like you're going from one place to another, and then along the way you hit something and you're like, oh, okay, that looks interesting. And then you just veer over and do it, as opposed to like, wow, I've got like 20 things on this map that I just got to check off. It's not as attractive to me, but you know, all that being said, like I am liking it. I feel like I'm going to put some more time into it over the next couple of weeks, and then I'll really decide, like, am I going to do the full like 40 hours or whatever the heck it is? We'll see. But yeah, it's I know it's pretty good. Frank, I know, has been enjoying it, and I think he said it's, you know, one of the best Assassin's Creed games in a long time. So
okay, cool.
We'll see what else he has to say about it. But yeah, I mean, story wise, all that stuff's great. It's just like I said, it's a lot of cutscenes early on, and even when you get to the point where it's like starting to open up, then it's like another cutscene, and then there's like these meditation points where you can meditate, and then they take you into flashbacks of like the main character's story of what happened previously. But like getting to those, it's like more cutscenes, and it's like, oh, I guess I never really thought about, you know, that like that is a big part of the Assassin's Creed series as well. So, but yeah, it's a cool setting. Obviously, there's been other games that have done it, but I think it really works for Assassin's Creed. So,
yeah, I mean, you didn't really touch on it, but like one thing that all these games do is like the sort of like historical representation of these areas is usually very precise and like extremely well realized. And just like I know like in some of the other games they have like a education mode in them where you literally like turn off all of the enemies and stuff. You just wander around like Egypt and Rome and stuff like. So it's pretty incredible the attention to detail they put in. I'm sure they did the same thing for this game. So I'm sure it's pretty amazing, the map.
Yeah, like, and the environments are just, you're walking around and you get to like a corner of a little village and it's just like all these little details that you're like, wow, like there's a lot of people working on this game clearly. But there's, yeah, like you said, attention to detail, and it's all very well done.
Yeah. I can report back on my spike volleyball adventure that
Nice.
I undertook last week. So just a quick refresher, I was crashing like all the time. Every tutorial screen, it seemed to be crashing. And I did some more Googling around and found out that it's actually the internet connection. So it must be trying to ping some server every 10 seconds into gameplay or something like that. And I just happened to be kind of like skipping, the tutorials, the first tutorial, and it hadn't had time to ping yet. And then I go to the second one, and I just kind of like go quickly enough to kind of delay it. But so it turns out if you block outgoing internet traffic through your firewall, the game works fine, works flawlessly. So I blocked all outgoing internet traffic for Spike Volleyball, and the game is actually quite fun. It does a really good job with the feel of volleyball and how the mechanics work. I feel like that. Like I used to play competitive volleyball, so I wouldn't say I was good at it, but I have a feeling of what volleyball should feel like. And I think it does like a pretty good job representing the sport. And, too bad it's crashing. Like if you're not savvy in how to like adjust your firewall and stuff, you totally get screwed trying to play this game. But yeah, I played a couple games through like from beginning to end, no problems, and really had a fun time with it. I thought it was enjoyable. I haven't really got into the, upgrading your characters and doing other stuff like that, like the RPG aspects of it. But the sort of the moment to moment gameplay in the game is pretty fun. There's definitely some bugs where, the ball goes like super high in the air and like it looks like it's going to go way out of bounds, and you're just kind of like, okay, this is going to be a point for me. And then all of a sudden a guy jumps in the middle of nowhere and just hammers down this massive spike and it goes in. So, there's a few kind of like physics, oddities and quirks, but overall it's a pretty fun little volleyball game. So, I'm enjoying it. I'll probably keep playing it and, throw on a game every once in a while and just kind of progress slowly through it. It's pretty fun.
Can you play like multiplayer with like a high number of people? Like, could you do like a full team on?
I don't think so. It's not really like that. You're not actually like controlling an individual person. And it's not like hockey where you're actually like switching between the characters. How the mechanics work. I guess I can report on the mechanics now because I'm not crashing all the time. But essentially like the serve, when you serve, you kind of select the style of serve you want. So like kind of like a float serve or a hard serve, jump serve kind of thing. And then you press the button and then you hold down the button, and there's almost like a kicking meter in like Madden or something. And before that kicking meter kicks in, you can aim where you want your serve to go on the court. And then when the kicking meter kind of gets to where you want it, then you let go of the button and then he serves it into that spot. So, and then to do that initial pass up, you actually have to like press down the A button and then release when the ball gets to your character. So you don't have there's no movement involved. You're not moving the character around. The character automatically moves to the ball. It's more of like a timing mechanic for everything. And then to do a set, then you basically, I don't know if you remember in hockey, like I think it was like, 2K1 or something like that. You could pull up like, I think they called it precision passing, and you'd like press a button and then every player would get a button. And
Right. Yeah.
then you could choose exactly who you want to pass to. It's kind of like that. So when it goes to your setter, then you choose what player, X, Y, B, or A you want to pass the ball to. And then as long as you hit that early enough, it'll be a good pass. And then you kind of hold down the button to charge your hit. And then when the ball gets near your hand, you let go, and then that kind of determines how successful the hit is. And then on defense, there's like, trying to dig it up or adjusting your blocking so that you're in the right position to block at the net. So there's not much like, action gameplay. You're not like moving your guys around and stuff per se. It's more of like a button timing, choosing the right thing to do in like a short amount of time kind of gameplay, which I think works really well for volleyball because it would be really like volleyball is really fast. So it'd be really hard to, adjust your back row guys to hit it in just the right spot. And then it would just be frustrating as, sometimes in tennis games where you're like running in the back court and you're like just like a hair too short and then you miss the ball. It can get kind of frustrating. So I think this style of control works really well for a volleyball game. So, yeah.
Cool. I only have one other thing, so I don't know how many other things you have.
I got a couple, but I can go pretty quick through them. So why don't you go and then I'll just wrap it up.
Okay. So, I've been playing a little bit of a game called Ctrl Alt Ego. So this is a weird one. I kind of had seen it around and it seemed like kind of a puzzle game. So I was intrigued by that, but it was being described also as an immersive sim, which whenever I hear that term, I'm always like, what does that mean exactly? I guess it mostly refers to stuff like Deus
Half-Life,
Ex,
System Shock, yeah.
But yeah, like
Deus
games
Ex.
where it's like you have multiple ways you can attack a problem, and you kind of, and the environment and the game kind of respond based on what you do. I think that's kind of the main.
Yeah, you're right. Deus Ex is probably the best comparison.
So, but the weird thing with this is it's kind of like you're controlling. So it's called Ctrl Alt Ego because you're controlling a bodiless ego that can take over machines. And so like you kind of swap from one machine to the other. And, it kind of reminds me of like, do you remember that game Geist for GameCube? I think it was, where it was like you're a ghost and you can take over.
I don't think I ever played it, but I recognize the name.
Like just in concept, I guess it's kind of like that.
Sure.
But so it's like you kind of are, kind of taking over different computers or robots, and you're like moving from one to the other, and each one has different things they can do. And so it is kind of like, there's that puzzle element. There's a little bit of a stealth element because there's like, enemy robots or sentry guns or security cameras and things you're trying to get around. But it's also just like this really strange world, which I'm assuming some things are going to get explained more over time. But to start with, it's just a lot of like, what does this mean? Why is this thing called that? And like, it's like, you really feel like you're just thrown into the deep end. But I kind of like it though. Like there is something about it that makes me want to keep playing. And it is, I would say, more of a puzzle game than an action game for sure. Like I don't know if there are more actiony sections, but I don't know. It's a strange game, but I'm kind of digging it.
So it almost, I mean, not exactly the same, but it's almost like Portal. Like, are you actually like transferring kind of quickly and like trying to get around the world, transferring your ego around or whatever?
Yeah, like it happens kind of instantaneously. Like you can, wherever you are, whatever you're controlling, you can look across the room and see what else is there. But then there's kind of this system, which I don't fully understand it yet, but like you have like an ego level, I think, where it's like certain things you need more ego to be able to take it over. So then in order to, take over that particular object, you have to go around and collect more ego or more energy or whatever it is. And then yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, I kind of just finished the prologue basically, so I'm not very far, but it's I'm just kind of feeling like I'm starting to like understand it.
Cool. Yeah, looks weird.
Yeah.
So I played two more things. I played more Rise of the Tomb Raider. I think I mentioned it last show. So I think I'm about halfway done now. And I realize I just got back to the spot where I stopped playing the last time I tried to play it. So I am officially into new content that I haven't seen yet. And I really like this game. It's really like the pacing's really good. The gameplay's good. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I am skipping the cutscenes often though, because I just kind of want to like play the game this time. I don't really care too much about the story. And if I feel like it, I'll go back and I'll watch the YouTube the cutscenes on YouTube or something like that. But overall, like I think they also like pace out how you get equipment really well and how they reward you for exploring like the optional tombs with actually like some pretty awesome gear and stuff that upgrades your stuff. And then there was one item I got, which was the crafting tool, which basically to upgrade your stuff, you have sort of like, let's say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And tier 2 only unlocked if you got this crafting tool. And I just happened to open it in a treasure chest. And I was kind of thinking like, okay, what if someone misses this treasure chest in this? I mean, it's in a pretty main area. You should probably see it. But if someone misses this, like it could completely screw their game up, because I'm pretty sure it's in a dungeon that you may not think to come back to. So I wonder if that is strategically placed or dynamically placed based on your progress in the game. Like maybe after you unlock a certain number of upgrades, then that crafting tool appears in a chest somewhere. So I was thinking of going back and watching like a game, like a video, a let's play, and seeing if they unlock that tool in the same spot or not. Because it seemed like it wasn't like story driven at all. It was like I actually had to find it in the world, which was kind of weird.
This is Rise you're talking about?
Rise, yeah. Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the important stuff you always got like as part of a cutscene or something, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'll have to.
You can backtrack in the game, right? Go back to previous areas, but
yeah, and you can fast travel between the fire camps. So you could, but I mean, if it's only in that one chest, how would you know to go back to that spot? Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can look it up obviously, and with the internet now. But if you were trying to be a real gamer, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't be using a YouTube walkthrough. But yeah, I really like this game. I'm gonna definitely see it through, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. And then the last thing I played, which I think Frank has played before, I don't think you have though, Dwight, is a game called Card Shark, which I actually got free on Epic a little while ago. So I decided to fire that up, and it's actually a really fun game from what I've been playing so far. And there is basically they teach you different gameplay mechanics on how to cheat to get money in these card games. So one is just basically like not counting cards, like basically looking at someone's cards. That's the first one you learn. And then the other one is like the special shuffle. So you can collect the cards in a certain order and then shuffle the deck so that the proper cards you want appear in the proper order. And then there's like 3-card Monty. It teaches you how to do 3-card Monty. And so, it's kind of neat that you get to use these things. But I was in when you go to actually like use these techniques they teach you in a game, it's kind of like time based. So you have only a certain amount of time to perform the button press order essentially. And before the guys get suspicious and then they bust you. And I was doing one of these moments and my controller batteries died on me. So then I was like, why is this not working? And then I look down and the light's off on my controller and I run out of time and I get kicked out of the bar or whatever for tricking the guy. But so I stopped after that, but it was pretty fun. I like the art style. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the art style reminds me a bit of oh shoot, what's that Xbox exclusive game that's kind of Pentiment? Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Pentiment. Yeah. See, I didn't even have to say any words. You knew what I was thinking about.
I don't know why I knew, but I knew.
But yeah, it's sort of, it actually really reminds me of Pentiment, just with this like card shark mechanic. And so I don't know. I think I read while it was explaining things that there's like kind of 8 or 9 sort of like card shark mechanics they teach you in the course of the game, and then as you go to each town, you'll have to use different ones to try to make money. So it seems pretty fun. I only played it for maybe 45 minutes or so, an hour. So I don't think I've really gotten into the meat of the game yet. But yeah, me losing that first one kind of pissed me off because of the controller issue. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Is that like, do you play poker in that game, or is it like different card games?
So right now it's been just poker, and it's been mostly like, you don't really like play poker. The whole game is around shuffling the cards to give someone the hand they want. So you see everyone's hand. And then like, let's say I'm playing with you, you're the guy I'm dealing to, and I want you to win the money. I would have to collect the cards in the right order so that when I deal the next time, you get like the highest hand. So they have this mechanic where so let's say the previous hand, you see all the cards on the table, and you can collect the cards in whatever order you want from the table, and they're grouped into like groups of 2, 3, or 4 kind of idea in different piles. And then you can also choose to collect them from left to right or right to left. And so depending on the order, that's the order they go back into the deck. I'm probably not explaining this very well, but essentially it's like a card ordering puzzle game where if I look at the cards that are on the table and I want you to get all the kings, then I have to collect all the kings in just the right order so that when I deal, you get all the kings. And that's sort of like the mechanic behind the poker aspect of it. And then the 3-card Monty is kind of like, when do you cheat and when do you not cheat, sort of like timing game. Yeah, I think what did I say the other one was? Oh, the other one was like, you're like a waiter and you pour wine, and then as you pour the wine, it exposes the guy's hand. And then you have to do use the right thumbstick to perform an action of wiping the table. And depending on what wipe pattern you do, that tells your teammate what suit the other guy has. So like if I rub the table in like a clockwise fashion, that's spades sort of thing. So you have to like remember these patterns and also remember what the cards are doing, but also not take too long. Because if you take too long, you spill the wine. And if you go too short, you don't really necessarily see the right cards. So it's this weird balancing act of, it's kind of a neat little mechanic, to be honest. But yeah, it's basic yet kind of challenging at the same time. So yeah, pretty fun. I mean, I want to see what else they have up their sleeve for how to progress the game more.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I hadn't played it, but like I just remember when Balatro first came out, I had the thought of like, was that like inspired by that? And it sounds like it wasn't at all, because I've heard the developer talk about it, and he had all these other prototypes and stuff. But I just thought of that game for whatever reason. Yeah,
it's pretty neat though.
Cool.
That's it for me.
Okay, well, I think we covered a lot of stuff, and Frank will be proud of us. So, thanks for listening and or watching. You can check out us out on YouTube, youtube.com/GameJunk.
GameJunk. Yep.
And we're on social media, GameJunk Podcast. Huck is My Angry Commute or Equilibrium Sis.
Yep.
And I think that's about it. So until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.